the losing streak at 2. They've won 7 straight prior to. Oh, Saric hits the bucket, and it was not appreciated by Clarkson, and he threw the ball at his back.
The defense by the Nuggets, behind the back, give it back, Saric buries the 3. McConnell, Saric, yes! Beautifully done between those two. Dario Saric with 26 points.
And just like that, the Warriors have their center. Wait, what? He's only 6'10"? Not a rim protector? Not athletic? Guys, it's cool. He sets screens and he shoots threes. Not only that, he's done it before with CP3. Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Swish. Look, I know this video has been due and you guys are tired of the wait. I mean, at least I don't keep you waiting on a big man as long as Golden State has. Speaking of Golden State, the Warriors finally have their man, their myth, their legend, the ultra rare shooting big. I suppose the question really is whether he's more myth than legend. Within the first minutes of free agency, apparently the Warriors threw their hat in the ring, offering Dario Saric the veterans minimum to play on the Dubs' second unit as a backup for Kevon Looney. Saric's team obviously wasn't thrilled about the offer, plus they were waiting to see how free agency shaped up before making a decision. The Lillard situation was one of the major moves they'd been waiting on, as Miami might have been a destination looking to sign veterans for the minimum. At this minute, that is unresolved, so Miami will have to get their floor-stretching big elsewhere. So, what led Saric to the Warriors, and why were the Warriors so interested in signing him? Saric first came into the league in 2016. He was drafted by the Orlando Magic in the first round as the 12th overall pick, ahead of 13th pick Zach LaVine and 41st pick Nikola Jokic, but was drafted behind 9th pick Noah Vonleh and 10th pick Elfrid Payton. If you've been following the NBA for a while, you're probably wondering, what? Huh? That's because all the players I just listed were all drafted in 2014. Yet I just said that Saric first came into the league in 2016. Well, here's what's up. Following the 2014 NBA draft, Saric's draft rights were immediately traded to the 76ers for Elfrid Payton. What happened next was really weird. Just before the draft, Saric had signed with a Turkish team in the EuroLeague, so after he was drafted, he still stayed in Europe to play that year. The same year the Warriors won their first modern-day NBA championship. It wasn't until 2 years after he was drafted in October of 2016 that Dario Saric made his debut for the 76ers. So, what did he do between his debut for the Sixers and his signing of a 1-year veterans minimum contract with the Warriors that was so impressive that the Warriors had to get him, and how will this translate to the Dubs' chances of winning a championship this season? Only one way to find out. So, let's get to it. While Saric was the target of a few teams, likely no one was going to pay over the veterans minimum, and after waiting an entire week, he and his team bought into Golden State. Despite being second-round exits this past season, the Warriors are still a destination many players want to get a chance to play. The Warriors' unselfish style of basketball, led by Steph Curry, gives these guys a huge opportunity to play a very fun brand of basketball and a legitimate shot at being on the world stage alongside one of the best to ever do it. Despite the delay, I'm sure Saric is happy signing with the Warriors. I mean, who wouldn't be? After all, he had to play 2 years in Philly next to Joel Embiid and the curious case of Benjamin Boston. During that time, he averaged 13.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 2.4 assists while shooting 43% from the field and 35% from 3. This is while playing 30 minutes a night. Doesn't sound bad for a role player in his first 2 years and change, right? Well, the Sixers saw an opportunity to become a championship contender, or so they thought. Who was on the line? None other than Miami Heat superstar Jimmy Butler, aka Jimmy Buckets. JB wanted out of Minnesota to compete for a championship because, well, he didn't like his teammates' lack of professionalism. On top of that, the organization doubled down by extending Wiggins and inadvertently sent Jimmy packing. Saric would play for the Timberwolves for 1 season alongside Andrew Wiggins, his future Warriors teammate, before he was picked up by the Phoenix Suns, where he played for 3 years alongside Chris Paul, his other future Warriors teammate. Looks like Saric is already home before he arrived. Chris Paul was actually one of the most vocal players on the team when it came to signing Saric, even though the Warriors were committed to signing him at the beginning of free agency before Paul became a Warrior. While in Phoenix though, Saric's scoring took a hit. He started playing 2/3 the amount of minutes and as a result started scoring 2/3 the amount of points. This was due to a number of leg injuries in 2021 that kept him from playing up to his full potential. His play during the 2020 bubble run, as you might be aware, the Suns went 8-0 during that period, as well as his sixth man role off the bench that year boosted his standing, which led to the Phoenix Suns inking him a deal for 3 years starting in 2020. They even had him in the starting lineup, a spot he ended up losing to the now traded Cameron Johnson. Despite this, he was actually playing better. In 20 minutes per game, he averaged 9 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 1.6 assists while shooting 45% from the field and 36% from 3. His lone year with the Timberwolves saw him start in just under half the games, putting up decent numbers, and with a shallow team in OKC last year, they got even better. What all this tells me is that at 29 years old, Dario Saric has continued to improve every year he's been in the league. So this signing is a pretty big deal for a veteran player the Warriors are hoping will improve the front court depth. This will give Looney especially some well-needed breaks considering he gets the bulk of the minutes at the 5. We might even see Steve Kerr opt to put Saric in the starting lineup as he's yet another player that can be used to exploit matchups. You could really see the Warriors run a lineup of Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and Dario Saric. This would be a totally different kind of death lineup. 5 shooters and no Ja Morant?
Look at
Yeah, but anyway, I can hardly imagine 5 bona fide shooters going cold on the same night. On the cover, this might look like, oh great, they've got a bunch of guys that can hit threes. But bear in mind that this gives the team a kind of versatility you won't find anywhere else on any given night. The additional skills that these players bring to the table in terms of passing and playmaking is going to give the Warriors an angle they never had before. This will be especially evident in the Warriors' second unit, where Paul and Saric will likely head off possibly the most formidable bench in the 2024 season. With Chris running point, we'll see Saric easily setting the pick and pop. Gary Payton is dangerous on the back cut, and this will enable Kuminga an easy access lane cutting to the rim for the lob threat. Moody will slash and can shoot at a very high level, so he's just as dangerous out there as well, opposite Saric on the wing. Just another way of saying, these guys will fit pretty well together. One of the really good things about this signing is the fact that Kuminga will not have to do too many minutes at the 5 and will naturally fall into the 4 position behind Draymond Green. This will give the secondary unit plenty of shooting and even more athleticism than the starting lineup. I'm anticipating with Chris Paul working with Jonathan Kuminga, JK's game will open up and his scoring will take off here in year 3. Couple that with the experience Paul shares with Saric, and you can easily see how the Warriors' bench improvements could begin to translate into wins. All because of the Warriors adding a stretch 5. The only problem with that is despite the fact that Saric is immediately the tallest player on the team, he's only played the 5 a handful of times. His true position is at the power forward spot, but this is the Warriors we're talking about here. He's efficient, grabs rebounds, moves the ball on offense, and hits shots from distance. He's not the strongest guy on the floor, but with the modern NBA whistle, he'll do just fine. The Dubs don't need him to post up or put the ball on the floor much, but he's a pretty good ball handler for a big. With so many guards on the floor, however, I'm not expecting this skill to be utilized as much as it was with prior teams. The last thing, as I mentioned before, is that he's not exactly a rim protector due to the lack of athleticism and lack of size. What this means for Golden State is that they will still need to search for a rim protecting big. And I'll have more on that later in a separate video that I will try to get to you guys by the end of this weekend. The Warriors entered last season with only 14 players on the roster, with that 15th spot left open, and it appears they might end up doing the same here unless someone becomes available. Right now, it's anyone's guess who the Warriors are interested in, but it's not likely a guard. My guess would be someone versatile enough to play the 3 or 4 unless a standout 5 becomes available for cheap. Iggy has basically played his last game as a Warrior, so don't expect a repeat of last year. Or, well, we'll have a repeat of last year. A wing player that will add some further depth is likely someone high on the Warriors' radar. This means a player that will come off the bench at likely the 3 or the 4. There's currently no one behind Draymond and Kuminga, which could prove to be problematic. It's likely the Warriors are hoping Kuminga makes the jump to take some of the load off Draymond, who recently re-signed for 4 years $100 million. This means the team either goes in with no rim protection except from the young TJD, or they have to put their faith in a single backup for Draymond in Jonathan Kuminga. While I could go into the details on that, I'll save that for another video. That's about it for where the signing of Saric puts the Warriors as far as strength and weakness. The Warriors have most often used their two-way spots for guards, and Lester Quinones grabbed one of those spots. One big man who's been relatively off the radar is Reggie Perry, who kind of burst on the scene with a 20.17 rebound performance against the Mavericks, so the Warriors might consider giving him an opportunity. While his numbers look great, he's still a bit undersized at 6'8", so from a quick look, that's not quite what the Warriors would need. Let me know in the comments who you think would be a good fit for a couple of backups for the Warriors in the front court that could either provide rim protection or some depth at the wing. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Swish.